Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and my apologies. I'm a little bit later than usual, owing to the fact that something happened to me, which was I fell fast asleep, which is a good thing. So I am now here at last, and I'm just going to get up the screens that I want, and then we are going to geo for go. Just bear with me as I do that. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Andy. Hi, and Beth. And my apologies, as I said. I set an alarm and turned it off and fell fast asleep again. Not a good thing. But I obviously needed it, otherwise it wouldn't have happened. All right. The other thing is I apologize for my my eyes, but I'm struggling a bit with some allergies, so that's why I can't open them very well. Such a pretty look, I think. Okay, so I am going to just get this. All right, so today's broadcast is going to be about what would you do? I've got a case study. I heard an incredible story from a friend of mine today, and I thought, wow, that's such a great story to tell everybody, because I'm pretty sure that people will be able to relate to it, and therefore I am pretty sure that we will all learn a bit from it. So I thought that. Thank you very much. It's two different things. It's a lipstick and a lip gloss. So do you like, it's the color you like or the gloss? Hi, Jody. Good to see you. And I didn't bring them with me, but one is a Lancome. The color is Lancome, and the and the gloss. Yeah, I can't remember who the gloss is by. I could go and get it, but I'm running so late already. I will maybe find it after I put this up, and I'll put it in the notes for you. Okay, so just a quick update for you all before we start. We will be getting on to the main topic in a few minutes, just giving everybody a couple of seconds to get here. And so I wanted to start by just giving an update. Lauren is still in hospital. Jody, how are you doing with the heat? I know both Jody and Kerry mentioned the heat today. Jody, for those of you who don't know, suffers from lymphoderma, so her body swells up anyway. And so when she gets into really bad heat, that's like worse than it already is. And it's already a very difficult thing to cope with. So my sympathies to you. Kerry hurt her knee. And Kerry, I hope your knee is a little bit better. I know that Nana said that she wanted to come in and update everybody on Rick's CAT scan. Did he have a CAT scan? MRI? One of those. Anyway, so I'm going to leave that for her to do. I did offer to do it, but she said no, she would come in and do it. So I will make sure that we give her space to do that when she comes in. I don't think she's in yet, is she? No. Okay. There she is. Talk of the devil. Hi, Nana. When you're ready, perhaps you give everybody an update. I just told them that's what you're going to be doing. So. Right. And then while we're waiting for that update, I've now got the official update from Erin, which was that her doctor said, and I'm sort of going to read it, but I'm going to shorten what she said. But basically, the doctor said that something on her test made her just a little cautious to change the medication right at the moment. So she's just going to leave everything as it is for a little while. She said she's going to leave that combination of medications. I think she said about another couple of weeks, 3 weeks, I think. And then they'll retest just to make sure that everything's still stable. And if that combination doesn't work, then there'll be another biopsy that they will do to double check what's going on. And of course, she's got an autoimmune system on top of an autoimmune system, and then probably another one. So, poor Wahiran, she's really been through a tough time of it. All right. So as I was reading that out, Nana reported what I already knew, but that Rick's doing fine. And Nana wants to thank everybody who might be listening to this on the replay for their prayers. They don't have to go back for another year, which is a pretty good, clean bill of health. So yes, amen. Thank you, God. I quite agree. So we are very, very grateful for that, Nana, and I'm sure you're both very relieved. Yeah. Well, the other thing, birthday's coming up. I don't think we've got a birthday coming up, but I know that Jenny Jen and the Bears' wedding anniversary comes up on the 6th, I believe. All right, so let's do some feedback on one step at a time. We heard from a couple of people at lunchtime. On the shredding, Chip said that she got hers done. She actually did it the smart way. She picked up the box, took it to FedEx. Apparently, FedEx have a shredding service. And so they charge by the pound. I think she said she paid $8 for 4 pounds of paper. So just so that you know. I managed to get my first load of shredding done. I have another box of stuff that I found in the garage that I need to go through. But the main thing is I got the big pile that I had done. So that's another step forward. I'm really happy that I'm doing that. By the way, just on an update, Chip let us know at lunchtime that her puppy that she rescued died this week. I think it already was an ill puppy, right? And she just took it to try and help it. But apparently that puppy did die. Well, it wasn't a puppy. I think it was an older dog, if I remember correctly. All right, so I think that's all the news I know about, unless anybody here has got more news that I need to add to the list ready for Sunday. If so, give it to me right now, because otherwise I'm going to move on to the subject. Hi, Charlotte. Beth gained a pound this week. So for anybody else and what is your ideal weight again, Beth? Charlotte's about to do another 5K. Okay, so let me put those in. Beth gained a pound. And then Charlotte will find out how you did, I'm sure. Canada Day is the 1st, as I was telling everybody at lunchtime. So when Charlotte said that she's doing Adam. No. Seriously? Hang on 1 second. Okay, Adam. Good to see you, honey. Big hugs. His name's Adam, Beth. Doing 5K. Let me get that in here. Yeah. Well, that's kind of you. Yes, we wish everybody happy Canada Day and happy 4th of July when it gets there. So, Adam, do you want to give us a pocket update so that we at least know how you've been doing? Let me put it on the list here so I can tell people that Ohio. And by the way, I did hear from Oz this week. And he is still in Australia. Ah, good one. Yes, thank you. I haven't put that into the system yet. Yeah, thank you very much. Also on the 4th, right. That is awesome. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate the update. Right, any other news? Okay, so that's the main thing, is that you're well and that you're hopefully that you're happy. Adam, that's what we love to hear. So just to let you know, Ozzy is still Oz, and I can't remember what he was giving me a hard time over this time. Oh, he was asking me about my sleep apnea machine. Oh, is it also Daddy's birthday on the 4th? Okay, Aaron. Hang on, who else's birthday? Ah, Sakura. Where did that go? Under birthdays, of course. Hang on, and Mark. Aaron's daddy. All right, so we got both those. Thank you for the updates, everybody. At least now we know. All right, so here we go. I quite often quote somebody called Wayne Dyer because I really enjoy some of his sayings, and I'm actually rereading a book about balance that he wrote at the moment. But what he said I'm not quite sure in which book it was, but I know that he said it. It was, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. How many of you found that to be true? If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So, as we've so often said, you know, we say things, and and that's our side of it. People perceive it their own way. All right. So you can say something absolutely normal, and this person will hear it and take offense at it. And you're going, why on earth did they take offense at that? Well, the reason they did is they heard it with their eyes, if you like, and their ears, right? When I say they heard it with their eyes, but whatever's going on in their life, that's how they will perceive that. So if they were already a little bit touchy before you came up with your little bit, this, what you said, will go through a filter of being a little bit more sensitive to things than normal. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And hopefully you will really see this in this case study. And I'm going to say 13 minutes, Jody, if you can do that. I'd like to welcome anybody who might be ghosting. And ghosting is where you're watching the program, but you're not actually in here chit-chatting, and that's absolutely fine with us. We wanted to just make sure that you know that you're more than welcome. We've had people who ghosted for a long time before they ever came into chit-chat, and that is awesome. If you enjoy the case study, that is great. And if you have a case study, you've got a story of your own that you'd like me to talk about, just send it to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And unless you tell me I won't mention your name. So that's pretty good. By the way, when we do the rebroadcast of this, we don't put up the chat that's going on. We just put the audio. So if you want to come into the room and tell me something, but you don't want me to talk about it out loud, just put that in your comments so that as I read it, I know that you don't want me to talk about it. If it's somebody I don't know, I will nearly always, if I think it's sensitive, I will nearly always ask, is it okay for me to read this out loud, for that very reason? All right. And today, what would you do? All right. And before I start, I just wanted to double check that you all know, I think you all do. I'm not a doctor or any other sort of therapist or anything like that. The views you're about to hear are those of my own, from my own experience, and those of our viewers with their experience, because that's what makes Dear Mama Sal. It's not just what I think, it's what the viewers think as well. So if any of you like to do some learning around this, you might want to grab a piece of paper. Hi, Amy. You might want to grab a piece of paper and a pen just so you can take notes, because how you react to this story will be really important to you if you're trying to grow. And so that's why I recommend, if you can, take a piece of paper and write down your reactions so that you know what to work on. So I'm going to tell you a story, and it has lots of triggers in it, I believe, little bits to it. So what I'm probably going to do is slow the story down a bit and check in with you as I tell the story. Do you get the idea? I'm going to give you a little bit and ask you, how do you feel about this so far? And then I'll tell you a bit more, and how do you feel about it now? And so forth. So that's how we're going to tell the story. Is everybody okay with that? And the reason I want to do that is because I want to demonstrate how even the smallest bit of information can, have an effect on you. So here we go. Take a deep breath. This is a true story. The names of the people will be left out. So a friend of mine told me that she was taking her nephew with her on a trip in her RV. And the nephew is a toddler, as far as I know. Let's say that I think about a bit more than a toddler, maybe. Anyway, but pretty young anyway. So how do you feel about taking your nephew on a trip in your RV? How do you all feel about that? What's your reaction? Now, the reason I want to know what your reaction is because that is important in terms of what we're going to discuss from this point onwards. So for some of you, all right, so if some of you say, yikes, somebody says no, and somebody says exciting and fun. Uh, Somebody says I've already got too many grandchildren. All right, so do you understand? Hi, Chip. So depending on where you are at in your life is how you're going to hear this story. Have we already demonstrated that pretty clearly? Yes, Erin's saying, hi, Erin. Erin's saying if it's the right child and they like that kind of thing, it would be so much fun for them and for you. I quite agree. So the chances are, and thank you for thinking of that side of it, Erin. The chances are that the kid themselves is probably pretty excited about going on this trip, right, with their aunt. So just so that you know, this trip was planned weeks ago, right? This is not a sudden trip. This was planned weeks ago. And Amy's saying that as long as it's okay with the parents, then I see no wrong. Okay, and the parents were absolutely very quick to say what a great idea, and weeks ago. All right, so everybody's clear on that one. Everybody was A-okay with it weeks ago. However, here's part 2 of the story. The trip starts on Monday. And my friend just heard that the parents don't want their child to go in an RV without proper tie downs for a child seat in the RV itself. Anybody have any reaction to that? And just so we're clear, this is the first time that has come up. So Nana says, of course. Understandable, makes perfect sense. All right. So not everybody saw it that way, if you get my drift. So the interesting thing was that apparently, I don't know what the laws are in the States, but I believe in Canada that you can have a child's booster seat in the front seat if you're driving an RV. I believe that is the law here. So, in other words, normally it has to be um, in the back seat, but if it's in an RV, apparently they are, um, because RVs aren't built to have special tie downs for children in this in the actual construction of the RV itself. Am I making sense on this one? So in a truck as well. Okay, yes, and that's what most um, Class C. I think this is a Class C type RV. Yeah. So that is the law that they are allowed to do that. However, the parents said no. Now, they didn't say, and by the way, the parents knew the RV because they all discussed it before it was bought. Um, so, how do you think about the fact that only a couple of days before the trip, now suddenly they're saying no? I understand the fact that you're all concerned for the child, and that is a good thing. But can you see it as well for the sake of the people who've been planning this for weeks and now suddenly they hear not so much, even though it's legal? And then how do you think? Yes, Nana's saying it's their right. I quite agree. I quite agree. And that is the next thing. So my question to you all is, if you could put how you feel about this situation in one word, what would the word be? Oh, there's no doubt about the car seat, Nana. There was no doubt about that. This is the first they've heard that the car seat can't go in the front. I absolutely agree, and so did my friend. All right, but can you see that this is a discussion that would have been all right? So that's Erin's got a bit of compassion going here. Erin's saying, if I was the person planning, I think I'd be a bit frustrated because of all the planning I've done. But then on the other hand, I understand why the parents said no. Exactly. So you can see both sides of the story. So here is my question. Would you say that it is fair on the side of the parents that they voice their concerns? Yes, I think everybody has said that. Is it fair on the child that it only comes up just before the child is about to go on this trip? Okay. And I want to know if any of you have got any experience of having been promised a trip that was canceled as a child. Do you have memories of that? Yes, the child will be so disappointed. And and Yeah, I've had that promise too, Kerry, and I remember it really well. All right, and Erin's saying the same thing. It's really not fair to the child because the child probably really doesn't fully understand why he doesn't get to go. So now here's my question to you all, because this is where I think the learning comes in. Who has control of this situation? Right? See yourself on both sides of this story. And who has control of this situation? And my next question would be, all right, so everybody's saying the parents have control of the situation. It was funny because I'm certain you all agree that you'd make the same call if it were your child, right? If even though perhaps it would have been better and kinder for everybody if you thought that one through weeks ago when this was first discussed, to wait a couple of days before is sad, but doesn't make it wrong. Okay? It's sad for everybody, but doesn't make it wrong. So when I got the call and was discussing this, um, I obviously had some input. So what I'd like to know is if you had this call from a friend of yours, what would you advise them to do? And let's see what steps you can think of. Because you understand that, oh, Nana's saying, just suck it up and let it go. Okay. That it was not my advice, but interesting. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? What would you tell your friend? So the All right. So Jody's saying try to salvage that time and plan another outing. I actually must admit that go on the trip and bring back a great toy for the tot. I actually had a totally different solution. It's interesting, isn't it? And never for one second did I think about the kid not going. You see, to me, the kid going was a really important part of the scenario for everybody, for my friend, for my friend's mother, for the kid. The you can't put a car seat into the back of an RV. They already had a car seat. The car seat wasn't the problem. The problem was that they didn't want the car seat in the front seat, which is legal. And of course, there's nowhere else in a class C that has, what I call proper seatbelt type tie downs for the seat to go into. Do you understand where the banquette is, whatever? There isn't a proper tie down for a car seat. They're not built with those. Am I making sense? That's what I said, Jody. I said exactly that. Take a car with you and put the child in the car with one of the two adults. And then I heard, yes, but how many of you can hear this one going? Yes, but the grandmother wanted everybody to be in the RV together because that's bonding time. And I said, yes, I agree, it's bonding time. But here is the thing, the child's safety is your number one concern. So take a car with you and make sure that the child gets to go on the trip even if it means that you've got to. Now, the other thing, where they're going requires that they get on a ferry. So it is possible that the RV will get on one ferry and the car won't get on until another one, because it's prime time. Actually, they're not leaving until Monday, so that's when everybody will be coming back. But do you understand? There's a possibility that they won't all get on the same ferry. And I said, just expect that to happen. Expect there to be a delay, and that you may end up 2 hours difference between the two arriving at the campsite. But what you will do is ensure that that the child is safe. And the other thing is this. I don't think, Beth, I think you could be right on that one. Beth's suggesting take a car and switch drivers, so that they all have bonding time with the toddler. Yes, I think that's a good idea, except I think the grandmother isn't as keen driving the RV as my friend. Now, the one thing I said to my friend was, I just want to put this to you. If you had taken this child in an RV without the proper protection, unquote, um, and when there was an accident and something happened, you would never forgive yourself. Not only that, you know, your family would never forgive you either. And so I said, it's not worth it. In my mind, it's not worth it. Take two cars. I didn't for a second think, don't take the child. I just kept thinking, what's plan B? How do you get the child there safely? And the easiest way, now it doesn't mean that you won't be in an accident and the child won't be hurt, but at least you will have done everything possible to do it the right way for the parents. And I think that's the way. And then, of course, I got again, yes, but, and I'm going, no. No yes buts about this one. This one is, if you want to take the child and the child deserves to go, not the child's fault this is going on, then take two cars. Take the RV and a car. End of story. How many of you can hear that is a practical solution to it? So what we're looking for in life is not the perfect solution. This is, how do we get to a win-win solution? In other words, the parents can feel safe that their child is safe, and that everybody gets to do this trip anyway, even if they lose a couple of hours. Now then, will it be more expensive to take a car along as well on a ferry? Yes, absolutely. Is it inconvenient? Yes, absolutely. But is it worth it? I would say without a doubt, yes, absolutely. And this is my first comment about it. Would you please remember that peace of mind is way better than drama? How many of you can feel that? That your peace of mind is way better than drama. And as a follow-up to that one, I wanted to say, and some of you really will relate to this, the lesson in it all is choose to lose the drama. So when I heard the story, I wasn't thinking about who's right and who's wrong. I was thinking, what's plan B here? How do we get rid of the drama of this situation? And that is where my focus was. It wasn't on, well, the parents are quite right, or it's not fair on my friend because they've had this plan for a long time. All I could think about was, how do you do this without the drama? And then, of course, remember that as soon as you suggest that, you're bound to get a yes, but. Why? Because the person's ideal picture has changed. How many of you know that, yes, but da 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 da. It works, but yes, but it's not what I wanted to do. Well, we can't always do what we wanted to do. As I keep telling people, I want Brad Pitt, but yes, but I'm not going to get him. um, so what I wanted to do though was to show you how many of you can see that this was a situation that was full of drama and full of triggers. So what I wanted us to discuss, which bits of the story triggered you? Where did you feel you get a little shift in your peace of mind? What part of the story? So for those of you who know that drama is your place to be, um, you might want to write that on a piece of paper and stick it on your mirror. Choose to lose the drama, right? And the other point that I wanted to discuss is this business about yes, but. Yeah, you can quote me on that one, Jody. That's mine. um, how many of you d- do that a lot? I really sort of related to this in my own way because I was thinking about all the input I'm trying to get to make sure that I make a calculated decision about my next move. I will hear stories and then I'll go yes, but da 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 da. Um, when you hear somebody asks for input and you hear the words yes, but, what happens to you? Excuse me. How many of you hear that? Um, well, if they're going to disagree with me, why did they ask for my opinion? Okay. And Beth says, her eyes roll. So, but I wonder if you can have just a little think about that. Because sometimes you're going, you wanted the input, but yes, but I already looked at that and this was my result. All right. Yes, what you're saying is, yes, I thank you for that input, but I've already checked that out. And this is what I found out. Ah, I'm glad to hear that, Carrie. um, so don't always hear yes, but as a negative. Because sometimes, excuse me, sometimes the yes, but is giving you more information that you might not have realized up until this point. So, you're giving a piece of information, but the person that you're discussing this with has already been there. And so their natural reaction is to say, yes, but I already checked that out. Um, so here is the reality of people asking for input on things. How many of you know that we can ask for input, but the decision lies with us, right? Whatever you decide to do is your responsibility, not somebody else's. So even if people give you input, it's your choice what you do. And I just am very aware of that. I want to make sure that I've heard all sides on this. I want to make sure that I've got different people and different friends in my life who see things from different perspectives. And that's why I love having them as my friends. Well, that's how you might take it, Amy, but what I'm trying to explain to you is don't take it that way. Because sometimes the yes, but doesn't mean that I don't want to hear what you've said. It's like what they really meant to say was, thank you for that input. I have already thought about that. And this is what the answer was. But we're inclined not to say that. We say, yes, but I checked that out and this is what happened. So why did I ask you? Because I wanted your opinion. And if you just tell me what I already know, it's okay for me to tell you the truth. And that is that I've already thought that one out. Keep going. Right? So if you take that as a negative, like, why on earth did you ask for my opinion? All right. And Beth's saying, I roll my eyes with yes, but because I can tell by the tone of how they say it. Yeah, by the tone of the yes, but statement. All right. All I'm suggesting here is that next time you hear somebody say yes, but you might want to check it out. Did they say yes, but I don't want to do that? And if so, is that okay with you? They still wanted your opinion, but they have already thought about that and they've decided that they don't want to do that. What most people are looking for when they ask for an opinion is, what haven't I thought of? So all I'm trying to advise you is, if you hear somebody say, yes, but da 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 da, don't take it as a negative and they don't want your opinion. 9 times out of 10, they're thinking, oh, that's good. I already thought of that one and I've processed that one. Yes, isn't that true, Kerry, that for many of us, our eyes speak louder than our mouth? So that's a really good one. And yeah, what are the eyes of the window to the soul? So, but again, the lesson that I want to do is two things: let go of the drama, but also don't create drama just because they said the words yes, but. So Beth's saying the way that she responds to that is with a yes. That's great idea. What's your thought on this idea? All right. So, but either way, if you quickly change the subject, I would like to suggest then let's try and find an even more solid way, which is, yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I gave that some thought as well. And if you'd like to hear what I came up with when I did my research around that, I'll gladly discuss it. How's that, Beth? Because what I found out is people are quite surprised you actually thought that far. It's just like, but I found that if you start the conversation with the truth, which is, I really want your input because I'm trying to work out whether I've forgotten anything here, whether I failed to look at some angle. And the reason I asked you is because you always look at things from different angles. So if I say, yep, I've done that one, don't take offense. I'm just making sure that I have thought through all the angles. But you understand, Beth, if you set it up at the beginning that you might end up saying yes, but, and please don't take it negatively, because this is why we're having this conversation. I'm trying to check that I've thought through all the angles. So fire them away. Let's see which ones I've thought of and which ones I didn't. And yes, I also am a great believer in, this is what I found out. Can you see a way out of that I haven't thought of yet? Right? Yes, Beth, I'm a great believer in that, which is, and that I need that input. I need that input, and I trust that you care about me enough to give me your input. And it's not that It's not that I don't want it, but I'll let you know if I've already been down that path and how far I got down that path. Okay, so let me ask you another question. All right. So I've been procrastinating, amongst other things, going to the bank and actually working out with the bank exactly how I do what I want to do with my next step. I'm actually got in my mind, I'm clear enough now that I want to go and just talk to the bank about it because I've got to be able to free up money. If I find something that I want, I'm going to need to free up money to be able to put down a deposit and all that sort of thing. Can you guys understand that? So I want to make sure the bank and I are on the same page that because when you go to put a deposit down, they need it within about 24 hours or something ridiculous, which is a lot of stress. So I thought, okay, I need to go to the bank and make sure that I can see and exactly what I'm doing. And to my horror, my bank person retired while I wasn't watching. They didn't tell me, but they retired. So now I've got to deal with somebody that I've never met before. How many of you know that sort of changes the dynamic a bit? However, on the good side, um, I am presuming that this person has similar knowledge, and because they're not a young person that's just been qualified or something, this is an older person. So I'm not too worried about that. However, about 10 minutes after I made the appointment to go see the bank, I got an email from a friend of mine in the States that said they had been invited to give a speech about something, and they wanted to know if I could be there because they wanted to publicly thank me for the impact I had had on their life and why they would never be giving this speech if I hadn't been in their life. Now, which is more important, that I go and be in the room when the person does that speech or that I go to the bank? Now, remember that the lesson today is choose to lose the drama, right? That's our lesson. Choose to lose the drama. All right. So Beth says it's more important you go to the bank, and Jody and Chip say more important you go to the speech. I worked on the principle that you can only hear the speech one day. And most people that work in banks have you know options of seeing them more than one day. Right. I'm obviously not too worried about that drama, Beth. Otherwise, I would have been to the bank already. Does that make sense, Beth? And Jody is saying to be in the room when somebody thanks you publicly could be a once in a lifetime. Actually, Jody, it's happened quite a few times, but I understand. No, I haven't bought a house. I'm still not 100% sure what I want to do, Nana. I'm still working on that one. But what I want to know now, Nana, is if I saw something tomorrow and I said, okay, that's it, because all my money is tied up in what do you, I think you call it IRAs in the States, right? They're in investment funds. I want to make sure that I can free up enough money that I can very quickly get a deposit down on a place if I want to. So I need to talk to the bank about how I do that. And I think they normally give you about 24 or 48 hours to get that deposit in. Yeah, Jody, that's cute. Jody says, yes, Al, I know it's been more than several times for you. And you meant on that particular one. Yes. But Jody, do you think I'm going because I need to hear that I made an impact in their life? Or am I going because I could hear by the way she invited me that it was important to her that I was there? I am certain it would change my income, yes. Yeah. And so again, all right, I tried not to think about it from my side. I'm sure that some of you understand, and Jody, you are of course right that I've had more than a few people um, say that publicly. And so my reality is I know it's important for her to be seen to thank me publicly. And therefore, I would make the trip, not for my ego, because that isn't why I would make the trip. I'd make the trip so that she could have the pleasure of facing me and thanking me personally, which is obviously what she wants to do. And, she knows I'm gonna cry, so, there's a drama for you. But it's a different sort of drama, right? It will mean everything to her. Obviously, otherwise, why would she write and ask me to be there? The same thing, I was amazed that I was invited to her wedding, and I went, "Why would she invite me?" And that's the reason why. There you go, Beth. And that's what I said. I can do both. I just won't do them both on the same day. So I immediately went back to my contact person at the bank and said, "Hey, see if you can change that appointment. Either do it for the next day or do it for the following week." I'm not in a big rush. Yeah, I already have a home loan, though, Jody. So I want to know, you know, how do I play that one? All right. So this is the thing is that until I've actually sat with a bank person, I don't know how they're going to manipulate the money. But I need to know so that can I just know that up to this amount of money they're literally going to give me a check. They will extend it. That's good to hear. That would be very good to hear. All right. So um so that is yeah, so that's why I want to talk to them and really get an idea. Yeah, I already have a line of credit because of improvements that I did on my home, Beth. So that's why I want to just double check how much money can I draw on if I have to, and if I need to go over my line of credit, are they ready to extend that without batting an eyelid, or do they need to check that out with somebody higher up the food chain? All right. So what I'm trying to do is to lose the drama that could possibly happen. Can you understand that? It's not being negative, it's not, being stupid. This is about I wanna make sure they know what I'm doing. I want to make sure they know I could walk in tomorrow and say, "I need a check for X number of thousands," and they're not gonna say to me, "You can't have it." All right, because of this, this, and this. I wanna make sure that I feel safe in my own way, that all my ducks are in a row correctly on that side. I don't want any surprises. I don't want the drama. It's gonna be enough drama without that. So the reason I like to bring you these stories is because I believe in each of them we have a little bit more learning. I've started, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I've started to see this whole business about doing what I'm doing as a sort of Zen thing. It's like it's bringing all sorts of monsters and making me face them. And yet I'm going, how do I take the power out of this? I don't want to be in stress. I want to get rid of as much of the stress as possible. Can any of you see this? And what I'm hoping is that as we talk about these different examples, that you can go, wait a minute, what's going on in my life that I can actually do a little bit more research at the front end so that I don't have as much stress on the back end. I don't, and what causes the stress is the surprise you didn't know about. They will only do an open line as far as you can pay back. In other words, once I've sold the house, they'll look at how much equity I've got. Is that correct? I got I got rather a lot of equity in here. Yeah. So I've got a great deal of equity in my home. So that's what I want them to tell me. So at the moment, I've got a line of credit of X, and what I want them to say, don't worry about that. If this is about putting a deposit down because you're about to buy a new place and sell yours, then we would extend it to here without asking any other questions. But they may say, we would need to do another appraisal of your home to make sure. Yes, Nana. But there were two of you, and I think one of you was anyway, I just wanna make sure that it's same for my bank as somebody else's. But I thank you because already I'm feeling a bit better about it. Thank you. Yes, they know they will get it back. Yeah, exactly. But do you understand? I need to know exactly how far I can go with that so that I feel that I'm not gonna get any drama because I don't wanna be walking into the bank. I actually, that wasn't where my mind was. My mind was one of you working at the time? I'm trying, or were you both already retired? That's actually where my mind was. Yeah, you were in it together. Alright, so but what I'm trying to say, Nana, is that, um, was Rick already retired? But he maybe his retirement income is more than mine, right? So that's why I don't believe in, although I value the input. To me, it's a case of apples to apples. It may be that your situation has different circumstances around it than mine. And so, whilst I appreciate the information because that's very important and I'm already feeling a lot better about it, I need to hear that from my bank, that in my situation, they can still do it for me. All right? So that is, and I won't know that until I sit in front of a bank person. And being me, I'll probably ask him to confirm that to me in writing with an email. Yes, I won't need a mortgage either once I've sold the house. What I'm worried about is how quickly and how easily can I free up the money I might need for a deposit? That is my question. So, this is the reason I'm talking about this. Yes, knowledge is power, and also, Beth, does it make sense that knowledge is also reduces your stress level? You know, I basically, there's part of me that goes, "Give me a check up that I can spend up to this I can write this check for up to this amount of money. Give it to me in my hand so I know I can do that." They weren't gonna do that, obviously, but, that's how I need to be able to think. So yes, and that's the other thing, I've got a healthy, limit on my credit card, and I actually tap it off. I never spend the amount that they said I'm entitled to spend on my credit card. I have a personal limit. How many of you do that as well? So whenever they offer me more money, I say, "That's very kind of you, no." Because to me, I tap my credit card out at a certain figure that I need to know. And what I've always said is if I need more on my credit card than that, then I will let you know. Yeah, and so you pay yours off every month, that's awesome. So, it's the financially responsible thing to do. I wish I could tell you that I pay mine off every month, I don't. I quite often use mine as my forced savings account. I actually nearly pay mine off every month. I actually do it a different way now that I think about it. I have a set amount of money that I pay into my credit card every month, regardless of if I've spent that amount. Does that make sense to everybody? I just have a standing thing that pays X amount of money into my credit card. So, to me, that is sort of like sometimes I have a plus balance in my credit card. That's a good thing. Um, Now, for some people, they're saying, why would you do that? Well, because it's really nice sometimes to be able to do that and go, wow, I've actually got a plus balance here. This is awesome. And the bank sort of doesn't mind that either. How many of you do that with your bills? How many of you pay your bills not by the actual amount of your bill, but you just pay a certain amount every month? Yeah, so is that a VIP type account? Because I have that one, and it also includes health insurance for the States, I think. That I need to remember because I forget about that when I go traveling. I forget that I've got that. Yeah, I've had the VIP account for probably 30 years, for as long as I've been just about in the country. And that's a really nice account. Has a lot of good things in it, I think. Mm, let's put it this way. I've never had reason to change it. Yeah, and that's what I will do is I will say, actually, now that I'm retired, can I just revisit, do I get insurance when I go to the States? And if so, how do I use it? Good. And I do find that. I don't know about anybody else, but I want to tell you when you're retired, things really change. You don't realize how many things change. I remember somebody talking to me and asking me how much money I had spent since I was retired. How much of my savings had I spent since I retired? And I told them, and they made a comment about, boy, you burnt through that much money. And I went, excuse me a second. I've been retired for nearly 2 years, and I own a big house and I've got a big car. And I was actually talking about that, and I said, you know, if you do the math, that amount of money isn't that I burnt through it. That amount of money is not very much money per month. And so I would really like you to rephrase that sentence. Yes, and that's the other thing. Rick now doesn't get insurance on our line of credit when he turns 70, and I am 70. Yes, Nana. You have to give me a chance to actually read what you have written, process it, and then talk about it. It's not that I'm being slow. It's I want to make sure I understood what you said. And I thank you because I am 70 and therefore I won't have that insurance availability either. So I don't know. You'd have to discuss that with a financial person. Um, yeah. Well, Beth, sometimes when you have a line of credit, a line of credit is normally what they call a demand loan. You all know what a demand loan is? Okay. So, Beth, the demand loan is that the bank can, let's say that you default on a payment or something, the bank can say, we're calling the loan. And you have to be able to pay the whole lot off within, like 2 weeks or something. And that's called a demand loan. They can demand that you pay off the loan. Now, in most cases, they would hold your property as collateral. So if you don't, yeah, it's very scary stuff. So if you don't pay it off, that they have basically they have the right to sell your house to get their money back. So that's why it's always important, Beth, if you have a loan from a bank, to find out what you are doing. For example, when I took out my lines of credit, the bank had to get a second opinion in the what do you call it? Notary public had to come in as an unbiased person and say to me, "Do you know what you are signing here? This is a line of credit, which means it's a demand loan, which means this, this, and this." Now, the bank can't tell me that. They have to have somebody who is not invested in the deal. Make sense, Beth? Somebody who is an outsider needs to make that so that they give me the correct advice, just to make sure that I understand what I'm about to sign here. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that it's a wrong thing to do. It's just make sure you know what you're signing up for. You don't want the drama. Now, if they called in the loan on my line of credit, that would be pretty dramatic. So either have a way of paying it off or have somebody that you know would, front the money for you if need be, or know who your local loan shark is or something, because that can be pretty scary if it ever happens. And the only reason they would do it, Beth, is if you defaulted on something. They have no reason to do it other than that because they're making money off you. Banks make money by lending money. You do know that, right? How many of you know that um, banks lend way more money than they have? That's pretty scary. But that's how the American housing crisis happened. So, for example, they might lend me money for a mortgage on my house, but they will literally do that 3 or 4 times on that same amount of money. Exactly, but the amount of money that they will make on your deposits isn't nearly as much money as they will make on people borrowing money. Because 9 times out of 10, the amount of money that people borrow is far more than the money that people deposit. Do you know what I'm saying? More people borrow more than they deposit. So think about that one. Actually, we should talk more about these things. I I'm adding this in because I'm presuming that you guys like to hear and learn about these things. I look at everything that is happening to me at the moment with this whole transition as lessons. Every day I go, what did I learn today? What came into my face that I didn't want to see, but it's a lesson I need to learn. Well, yes, I want to tell you. I mean, I do the math on that. Oh, yes, in the first year, you will end up owing more than I think you end up paying probably a third more for your house than you think you do. I think that's a pretty good rough average. So if you think you're paying X number of thousands for a mortgage, you're actually paying that plus about a third in interest. So the trick is, I must admit that I still have a little bit left on my mortgage, but it's all principal. It's not interest anymore. All the money I pay off is paying off the principal. Yay! So, all right. So I'm hoping that you all understand this lesson about choose to lose the drama. Can you see that my solution for my friend was to let go of what she thought ought to happen, should have happened, and just deal with what you need to do to get rid of the drama? Can you see that? The reason I want to go to the bank is because I want to lose the drama. I don't want to get surprised. I want to know before I start doing this next phase. The reason I choose to move the bank rather than the speech that I need to go and listen to, I would like to go and listen to, is because I don't want that much stress in one day. Yes, and I may not answer it, Nana, you know that. So, or I might not answer it online, depending on what the question is. And you all understand that that is true of your life. People can ask you questions, but you don't have to answer them, right? You can choose not to. You do know that, right? People can't force you to do that. I was hearing somebody at the lunchtime broadcast say to me, they got forced into doing X, Y, and Z. And I said, if you were an adult, then you chose to do it. You might have just caved in, but as an adult, you make the choice to agree to something. If I charge, do you mean my suite? I think you mean my suite, not the suit. If I charge what could you stay where you are? No, I don't think so. The reason for that, Nana, is there is a law about putting up rent on an apartment. You are only allowed to put it up X percent. I think it's 3% a year. So you can't suddenly go from this and charge, a third more or something. You can't do that legally. Nor would I. Um, Basically, the plan that I have in terms of selling, hi Jamie, is because I want to get out from under all of the debt now. I'm retired. I want to get rid of the debt and just know, okay, I'm clean now and I, need to live within my means and I have this much money freed up so that I can have a few luxuries when I want them. Does that make sense, Nana? Why would I kick Yvonne out? Yeah. She's lived here longer than I have. Yeah, I think, in life you need to make and that's why as I think Nana, I've had a number of very serious discussions. We've gone out and had lunch together or dinner together, so that we can both be on the same page in terms of what could happen. So if somebody came in and bought the house, they could give her notice or tell her. Yeah, this is just what I'm saying, Beth, that if somebody buys the house, they have a choice to keep her on or to give her 2 months' notice. And then they can bring somebody else in and charge whatever they want to charge. Or they can move their family and friends in, whatever they choose to do. So that is a choice that the next person will make, and that is a risk that Yvonne runs. And the chances are that she will need to pay more if they might negotiate and say, hey, we're new owners, we want to sign a new contract. This is how much. Yes, but something, Beth, that's why I've had all these meetings with her, because I want to make sure that she doesn't get a surprise either. Do you understand? So, I've literally sat down and said, okay, so if this happens, here's what I plan to do. If this happens, this is what could happen to you. So let's talk about that and make sure we're both clear. I think that's what communication is about. She knows that I don't necessarily want to leave my house. And in fact, one of the things that I think Benji said to me was, "Boy, the house that you have suits you so perfectly." Yeah, I choose to lose the drama around it. I don't want her to suddenly feel that I left her in the lurch because she knows I haven't. She knows that I'm doing everything I can not to do that. And so to me, it's like, um, if I look at all the things that I want in my life, my present home has most of it. So the reason I'm leaving my home is not because I don't love it. The reason I'm leaving my home is to get out from under the debt. The debt will, be too much for me to carry on a pension. Beth, I'm hoping that is true, but you never know, do you? Do you understand what I'm saying? One of the things that I've learned now is you never really know until it happens. I've had so many times in my life where I thought, gosh, I've got this friend for life, and then I find out, oops, no, apparently not. um, so to me, for those of you who know my friend Marnie, Marnie's daddy always had a wonderful saying that people come into your life for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. Some people come in because you need to learn something, and then they're gone. And then some people come in for as long as it suits them, and then they're gone. Or in my case, and Beth, I don't mind telling you this, I've had a lot of people who come into my life for as long as they need me and then move on. So that's a season. Do you get that, Beth? And once I've ceased to be of use, then they move on to the next stage of their life. I now know that's a reality. I don't take it quite as personally as I used to. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure that most people that have crossed paths with me know that, if ever they needed me again, I'd be there. Yeah, Amy, that's not an easy lesson to learn and let it be, as the Beatles say, right? I think the greatest learning for most of us that are trying to let go of the drama is to stop trying to control everything. When I say stop trying to control everything, it's like you can't change people. People will do what they want to do. Life isn't fair, you know. It just is life. And so, yeah, it hurts sometimes, doesn't it? But Amy, we all have to learn that, right? And I'm still learning it. Look at my age. So if you can, just breathe and know that you at least are learning the lessons. There are some people who will never let go of control. And those people are doomed to spend a lifetime in drama and misery and depression. Oh, there's a lot of hope for you yet, Amy. The fact that you actually are prepared to sit and through um, the stuff that we do says that you want to learn more, right? You want to learn how to do it better. So life will bring to you, and the other thing that I always say, Amy, is if the same thing keeps happening to you time and time, I can't tell you how many times people say to me, "So why do I keep getting the same problem back time after time after time?" And I said, it's the same lesson. As soon as you get the lesson, it'll stop coming. Yes, Amy, I so agree with you. You get tired of being miserable. You get tired of being depressed. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And so you go, something has to change, and it's me. I don't think you were here for the beginning. Let me read you the quote I started this with, because hopefully that will make more sense to everybody now. And this is from Wayne Dyer, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. All right. So I know that there are going to be people in my life that are going to say, well, why did you ask for my opinion if you've already thought this through? Well, hello, because I am who I am. And if you know me at all, you know I do that. I am a risk manager. I want to know, as far as possible, I want to know all the facts about what I'm doing. Because I don't want to have a horrible surprise. I don't want to, I don't know if any of you relate this. I don't want to turn around and go, why didn't I think of that beforehand? I want to make sure that either I have thought about it or that I've had people smarter than me think about it and remind me to check it out. As Nana just said to me, all right, in terms of lines of credit and so forth, people that have had different experience. So part of why we do Dear Mama Sal is because we all go through different stages of our life. And we all need to learn these lessons. Right. So, Beth, that's an incredible thing. Is it okay for me to repeat that? Yeah, so Beth is saying that she's starting to have a different relationship with her husband now that she is also working. She said, and she needs to explain that she's not the maid and she's not the problem solver, nor is she the taxi cab driver, and that together they are in this relationship, and that's what she needs is a team. All right, she doesn't need that everything falls back on her shoulders, because that's not true. Between the two of them, they will make a plan. That is what she wants. And that's what she told him. That's what I need. And I want to tell you, that is an incredible discussion to have. And it may be that, I don't want to come home from work every day and do all the cleaning. So, what are you prepared to do? I'm amazed how many people have that discussion. When I was not working, I understand that I could do it all, but now I can't. And so, are you prepared not to throw your clothes on the floor anymore and actually put them into a basket? That would help me a great deal. Or, I'm not going to treat you like a child. I'm going to treat you like an adult. Um, Kerry, my question would be, are you talking physically or hard as skipping beats? In which case, you need to ask the doctor why, not us. Or are you saying romantically it's skipping beats? Because that's a whole different thing. Yes, Beth. And you need to give yourself a gold star for having had that conversation. Of course he didn't like it because it's change. All right? But you told him the truth. And if your relationship is strong enough, then he will hear the truth, go away and think about it, because that's what people need to do, and then make a decision. Kerry, if you literally have got a skipping of your heart, you need to go talk to a doctor about it, not us. If you've got is it tachycardia for those people who know that word? I think that's what it's called, Kerry. It's a pretty serious thing if it is going on, and you need to get help. Okay, sweetie. Sorry to be a nag, but that is not something to play with. That's not, maybe I'll do it next week. That's, get in and talk to your doctor about it, please. It is not one of those things that, oh, well, it'll probably get better on its own. No. Go and get it checked out, because maybe you need a pacemaker to keep, your heart in rhythm. Now, I happen to understand that, if you are in a romantic relationship and, sometimes your heart skips a beat there as well. So if you've got a mixture of the 2, I definitely make sure that that you're on an even keel because I hate to think that the mixture of the 2 could be dangerous for you. But what I'm noticing, Kerry, um, I'm noticing in the last couple of weeks, you've had a lot more physical things going on than normal. Are you aware of that? Okay. So from studying a lot of Louise Hay stuff, I don't know if you ever have studied Louise Hay or any of her work. Hang on a second. But she wrote a really interesting book called You Can Heal Your Life. And one of the things that she said in there, and I always am aware of it, is be very aware what your body is telling you. So uh, the fact that your knee is causing a problem, that means you're not standing on your own 2 feet, right? You're sort of got 1.5 legs going at the moment, not 2. Does that make sense, Kerry? And I can't remember what her answer is for that, but you'll probably find it online if you check Louise Hay and just type in knee knee pain. It'll probably tell you. The same thing is I now know when I get sick and tired, the first question I ask myself is, what am I sick and tired of in my life that I'm not coping with? Because I found out that it really is relevant. If you are constantly feeling tired, what are you not dealing with that is holding you back? And some of it, you do need some help with. For example, um, I knew there was something wrong in my body because I knew I was not sleeping properly because I kept waking up as tired as when I went to sleep. So, you go, okay, what does that mean? My body is not resting. I knew that. My body is not resting. So I had to complain about that for quite some time before I got my doctor to listen to me. What if you can't change what's holding you back? Yes. For example, Nana, people who suffer from a very serious illness might not be able to change things, or they might not be able to change their circumstances. The same thing as the quote from Wayne Dyer, how we look at it can change. You can choose to see it something holding you back, or you can choose to see it something asking you to change how you look at things. And so, if I can take myself as an example, Nana, this downsizing that I'm doing, I could choose to see it as a negative, or I could choose to say, wow, I've been meaning to do this for years. Now I have a reason to do it. All right. Um, and I know, as I was saying to somebody that this last week, which is if I needed to do uh, to downsize everything by another half, I could do it. Yes, I think this is the whole thing, right? Choose to lose the drama about everything. Let me just put it this way, Nana. Do you remember that a year ago, next month, I thought I had cancer. All right. That 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 all the diagnoses at the time were leading to the fact that I had kidney cancer. Do you remember that? Now, if you remember, I didn't actually go into a major panic. what I did was I said to myself, "What do I need?" All right, and all I can remember thinking was, "I need healthy cells. That's what I need." And that's when I started painting and learning how to paint paintings with cells in them. Do you remember that? And I painted morning, noon, and night for about 4 months. Didn't worry about doing anything else. All I needed was healthy cells, and that's I learned how to paint them. And but while I was painting, I also was processing, if this is true, how am I gonna live the rest of my life? All right? That's part of the work I was doing in those months when I was painting. How do I want to live these? What do I want to do with my life? Um, who do I want to spend it with? Who will be there for me? I literally went through all those possibilities because I didn't want it I didn't want to be in a big negative or a big shock about it. I needed to know that I was comfortable with it. And I wasn't thinking, why me? What I actually said was, well, I know that I would document the journey for you guys. I know that, some of you would want me to do that. What does it really feel like, and so forth. And so I knew that I would do that. So, to me, I think everything that life brings you is part of your learning. I believe that, that Erin has learnt to process things the way she does because of her illness. Okay, so Kerry, honey, just be aware what you just said. What you just said in public was, uh, to everybody else in the room, "I don't trust you with the information." Right? Because you said, "Yep, Erin, you're the only one I trust with that information." So do you understand what the subliminal message is to everybody? So that whilst that may be absolutely true and perfectly within your right, maybe that's a discussion, that wording goes privately, not in public, because you'll find that it really can hurt some people. "Oh, I thought I was your friend and you don't trust me," right? Or whatever. So be aware of, if you can, of saying that privately rather than publicly. Just a thought. So the whole issue, though, I want to go back to Louise Hay. If any of you do get a chance to read any of her stuff, it's very interesting. And basically, what she talks about is that whatever happens in your body normally has some sort of reason for happening. For those of you who suffer a lot from back pain, what she found out was that people who have a lot of back pain normally don't stand up for themselves very well. All right, they don't stand up and do that. They're inclined not to stand up for themselves, and that's all to do with having a strong back. People who have earaches a lot, are inclined not to listen very well, and so forth. And it's really quite interesting to see the correlation between what your body is telling you and what is reality. For those people who have a lot of kidney infections and things, right? I always, if ever I get a kidney infection of any sort, I go, What am I pissed off about?" Because that to me is like, okay, fine. What is that about? And it's sort of like, or if I get a stomach upset, I will go, okay. What's making me sick to my stomach at the moment, right? So I try and see everything as, what am I not dealing with? Yes, I understand that. I'm not talking about very serious stuff like that, Nana. All right. There's a difference between an aneurysm and somebody that has a bit of back pain or a knee that goes out occasionally. All right. What I'm trying to say is these minor ailments. I knew so when I had the problem with not getting restorative sleep, and I knew I wasn't getting it. At the beginning, I sort of worked on, okay, what do I need to do to make this better? And I couldn't. So that's when I went to the doctor and said, okay, wow. You see, Beth, am I allowed to repeat that? Because that is so true. So, so true. Okay. So Beth, for those of you who don't know, Beth had a bit of a eating disorder when we met her. And what Beth is saying, when I starved myself, which is what she was doing, I liked the pain it caused me, so I wouldn't have to feel anything but the pain. I now know to be pro to be I now know that to be my protective shield to the emotional stuff. Yeah. Boy, I wanna tell you something. That's depression for me was, let me go inside and suffer because then I won't have to deal with the reality out there in the real world that hurts me. Yeah, Beth, big round of applause. I want to tell you, if you learned that being here, and from what we've managed to pass on to you, then you understand you've taken a huge, huge step. That probably is the most important lesson. For those of us who withdraw, for those people, I'm thinking about Leslie. Why did Leslie never want to leave the house? Well, sh yeah, Beth, and I bet you're going, wow, why didn't I see this before? Why didn't I see this before? And now you're putting down boundaries. Now you're getting healthy on a lot of levels, Beth. And it's like, you will have moments when you are better at it than others. All right? As we all know. Some days I'm really a lot better at it. But one thing though, Beth? It's so obvious now. Yeah, it's like, how can I be so stupid? Well, you were in a lot of emotional pain. That's how. But you didn't want to see it before, Beth. So, to me, you've done so much good work in the last couple of months on yourself. I look at Amy or I look at Chip or anybody else. You understand? Everybody is here for their own reasons, Beth, and everybody is growing at their own speed, whatever that is. Yeah, I think back to Kerry when she first came, or I think about Charlotte when she first came. And I think about everybody that comes in and out of the broadcasts. You see, the main thing is if you come and you get a little bit of help on something by seeing that you're not the only one. So that is terribly important, right? Yeah, Beth saying all she saw was her bones sticking out. The more bone I saw, the better I felt. It was so weird. Yeah. Well, Kerry, you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't think that you had grown in the last 5 years. You know that. Hi, Kerry. Good to see you. Yeah, so you look at it, and say it's not about Beth's doing better than anybody else. It's about Beth is on her journey, Jody is on her journey, Kerry is on hers, Amy is on hers, Sal is on hers. All right, we all. But what we have chosen to do is to do that together. Did I say Kerry? I think I did. It is Kim. Yep. Sorry, Kim. So you understand that nobody's journey is more difficult than anybody else's. Like Erin's journey, is ongoing. So to me, it's like if we all just do the work we need to do together, that is great. Yeah, the other thing is, remember the quote that I always attribute to Benji, although I'm pretty sure it wasn't his original quote, but that's where I first heard it, which is think about how many of the problems you have are what I call first world problems. They don't have this problem in third world countries. There are not too many people in the world, probably, way less than 5% of the total population, have a problem about what to do in buying their next house when they've got equity in this one. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a first world problem in my view. I am lucky enough to have this problem. Yeah, Kerry. But the interesting thing, Kerry, is that life gave you a mirror of what that looks like. All right. And you've seen that mirror of what it's like to stay in that darkness. And so I think that's why I've always thought that that was a really good mirror for us. Yeah, Nana says that God keeps her out of the darkness. I'd like to say that Rick keeps you out of the darkness as well, because Rick brings you great joy in so many ways. And yes, for a lot of people, their faith. I think I have faith at an interesting level, but it's like I do believe that things that happen to me happen for a reason. Is that faith? I guess it is. I was talking a little bit about depression, yes. Because I have experience of that. I lived in and out of depression for probably half my life. They called it situational depression, but I had a tendency. And that is one of the reasons, Kim, that I am being so particular about wherever I meet, wherever I go to. I have to have light in whatever it is, whether it's a apartment or what I choose to do. I know I need light because I have a tendency to get depressed in darkness. Yeah, I think, the whole thing is, Kerry, isn't it wonderful when we have people that will help us with it? All right. And, that is why as you know, it's why I started Dear Mama Sal. I really knew that. Good, Kim. I'm pleased. Understand that asking for help is a sign of strength, Kim. It's not a weakness. I think one of the most important lessons you can learn is, getting help is not a weakness. Getting help is a strength. And by the way, I don't mind telling you that it can be a difficult journey because you don't want to hear half of what you're going to hear. But at least you're dealing in reality and you have somebody that can help you deal with it. Okay, Kerry, all the best, honey. I've got to go as well. Um, so, yes, and if you're lucky, you'll get the right combination of meds that will make you feel a lot better. So, I hope you guys have learned something from today's broadcast. And please remember, choose to lose the drama. If you've got people in your life that are constantly in drama, don't try and fix them. Help them learn how to not be in drama all the time. But some people can only survive in drama and in pain. And that is their journey, not yours. All right. You can choose, and Beth, I just want to come back to your issue, which is that how long did you live with that pain, that emotional pain that caused you to almost, I think I said you're committing suicide. And it's not easy for me to say that, but it is the truth. If you are not eating enough to keep your body going, then that's committing suicide, the slow, difficult way. We love you, Kerry. It's quite easy for us to put up with your weirdness. In fact, it's your character, and we love you. Yeah. So for 12 years, you suffered, right? Um, but that's 12 years that you needed to suffer because you weren't ready to stand up and change things. And so, it wasn't, nobody could tell you to hurry up. What I've always said about doing Dear Mama Sal is the most amazing thing is the people that actually end up in the room. It always amazes me where we have this shift of people in the room year to year. And what amazes me is that when they're ready, they'll find us. And hopefully that we will be here to support them as they want to change. We can't do it for them. We know that. We're smart enough to know that. But what we can do is we can offer support, but as I've always said to everybody, don't do the work for another person. That, part of some people's learning is not to be codependent to other people. Yeah. And Carrie, that is part of your charm, all right? And so don't change who you are. Change your perception. I go back to that thing. And, let me just get it right because it's a great quote. And I think I'm going to even put that up in my wall because it's such a good one. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I can choose to see what I'm doing now as a negative. I'm going to have to let go of my house. And it's so sad. And I'm going to lose Yvonne. And it's so sad. Or I can say, wow, this is, I've actually started journaling. And I've called the journal, this is the first day of the rest of my life. Because I realize that's what this is. This is a transition time. And we all go through transitions. They're not good or bad. They just are what they are. And I'm about to go through a major transition. And whether you like it or not, you're going to travel with me. And hopefully we will all learn something about it. That's my wish here. So, Beth, keep doing the good work and keep saying the truth. Keep communicating the way that you're doing. That's really important. You're right. You're not the maid. You're not the taxi cab for everybody. Although, even if you have been in the past, it's like you're not anymore. You don't have time. Well, Kerry, I love taking this journey with you too, honey. And you give Mike a big hug from me. I'd like to thank Jody for being my admin as usual. She does such a great job of taking notes where I need them. I would like you all this week to please concentrate, to not get tied into the drama. Choose to lose the drama. Don't choose to be right. Just think to yourself, okay, I don't need to be right. What do I need to do to get rid of the drama? All right? What do I need to do to stop the stress? What do I need to do? All right, to feel supported. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. Um, so think about that, and you'll find that your life actually gets a lot easier. How many of you understand? I am choosing not to rush this. I am choosing to do it at its own pace because that is where I want to do. Could I end up in bigger problems because of it? Yes, if I believe that, or I can believe that this is the right speed for me. I've just never traveled this slowly before. That's why it feels weird. I've always rush, 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 rush. And Beth, I think you can probably relate to that, right? And now I'm just going, hey, everything in its own time. Everything in its own time. I believe with great faith that I'm doing this at the right speed because I choose to lose the drama. All right, everybody, a big hug to you all. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go back to bed now. Thank you. Thank you for your understanding that I went to go and get half an hour's rest before I did the next broadcast and ended up falling fast asleep. And even though I'd set an alarm, I hit the stop button on the alarm and went, stayed asleep. But you're still here and I love you for it. This is Dear Mama Sal, thanking you so much for being here. It's so lonely when I talk to myself. Look after one another, but as usual, please remember, start by looking after yourself. Amy, it is my absolute pleasure, honey. And all of you know, if ever you want to just contact me directly, just write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com. And I will get back to you. It might take a while, but I will get back to you as soon as I get to that particular email. All right, everybody, big hugs. We can help one another. This